The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, newly inaugurated on the Blue Nile, has once again ignited sharp words between Ethiopia and Egypt. In Cairo, leaders are warning with an intensity that reflects the gravity of the matter. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has declared that all options are open if Egypt's share of the Nile is touched. To Egypt, this is not merely a development project far upstream, it is an existential threat. For a nation that draws nearly all its water from the Nile, the dam is seen as a hand poised over the country's lifeline. Egypt's fears are rooted in both history and geography. The Nile has sustained Egyptian civilization for thousands of years, its annual floods once determining the rhythm of planting and harvest. In the modern era, the Aswan High Dam gave Egypt control over the floods and secured irrigation and electricity, but it also made the country even more dependent on a steady flow of water from upstream. Any disruption, especially in years of drought, would mean less drinking water, less irrigation for crops, less electricity, and more strain on a rapidly growing population. Ethiopia, on the other hand, presents the dam as a project of national pride and survival. For decades, it has struggled with energy shortages that have stifled industry and left millions without reliable electricity. The GERD, Africa's largest hydroelectric project, is meant to change that by generating thousands of megawatts of power. For Ethiopians, this dam is not a weapon. It is a promise of light, factories, and development. But history complicates the picture. Colonial-era treaties, signed without Ethiopia at the table, granted Egypt and Sudan the lion's share of Nile waters. Ethiopia has always rejected those agreements, insisting on its sovereign right to use its own resources. Egypt, however, holds fast to the principle that its survival depends on water security, and it views unilateral filling of the dam without a binding agreement as a direct violation of trust and international law. Years of African Union and international mediation have failed to produce that binding accord. What has already happened fuels the tension further. Ethiopia has carried out multiple fillings of the dam's reservoir without consensus, steadily reducing downstream flows during those periods. Though the Nile has not yet run dry in Egypt or Sudan, the symbolism of unilateral control has alarmed Cairo. Officials warn that if Ethiopia can fill and operate the dam without agreement, then in times of drought, Egypt could face devastating shortages. Thus, Egypt speaks of existential threat. It is not mere rhetoric, but a reflection of how closely tied the river is to its national survival. For Ethiopia, the dam is framed as a long-overdue act of justice, an African nation at last harnessing its own waters for its own development. Between these two positions lies a river that has nurtured civilizations, yet now threatens to divide them. The warnings from Egypt today are echoes of this long struggle, a reminder that the Nile's gift has always come with the weight of history, rivalry, and survival. Yet, in the cities of Addis Ababa and Cairo, life continues amidst these tensions. The people go about their daily lives, aware yet resilient. We have learned to live with the uncertainty. It's always been part of our lives. The Nile gives and it takes. And we too hope for a future where the river lifts us up, not divides us. This dam, maybe it will be a bridge instead of a wall. As the dawn breaks on the Nile, the world watches and waits, hoping that the future brings more bridges than barriers. One Africa is what we need, not tension between Africans.